The following program is not rooted in science, so there's no motive to completely make crap up.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Bob Program. I'm your host, Joe Neerman, a.k.a. Good Lawgic. I apologize for my lateness. Could not be avoided. That's all I'll say. Could not be avoided. I did everything I could. Everything in my power. Powers that be. The powers that be. This one. I don't even know what I could have changed. Sometimes I look back and I'm like, okay, what could I have done differently in this scenario to have avoided this type of out? Wait, let me check my sound. Let me check. Is my sound like much better tonight? Because it should be. One of the things I think I accomplished today is my sound should be much better than yesterday or the day before. Like, is my sound infinitely better? There we go. See, that's what I care about. That's what I care about. The Queen of Recruitment says I sound better. I'm better. All right, that's good. All right, fine. Okay, so where was I? Yeah, I was thinking, what could I have done different? I don't know what I could have done differently. I had a family thing for my son in his school, and it was supposed to be wrapped up. It's an hour away. It was supposed to be wrapped up by like 9:45, like 10 the latest. I was out the door at 10. I'm not the only one who's got to get out the door. So I apologize. I apologize for those of you who are waiting and looking at your watch and saying, I don't know where he is. I don't know where he is. But let's just say the powers that be, they were being. And well, anyway. What I could have helped prevent is being wrong on the same issue 47 times. I take pride in the fact that it's not very often that I'm wrong. It really is. I have a pretty strong record. I jokingly have commented that like every 7 months or so, I'm wrong, almost like clockwork. I had a phase like that where every 7 months or so, I was actually wrong about something. And I was like, okay, it just happens every 7 months. It's just going to happen 7 months again from now. This one I was wrong. And it's like, I'm trying to decide, do I count this as one extended, lengthy wrongness? Or maybe by the time we're all said and done, maybe by the time we finish examining this entire thing, maybe by the time we actually look back at this whole thing, I was wrong so many ways that I actually ended up accidentally being correct on this whole flag burning thing. Oh my God. Yesterday I was explaining to you all. I was explaining to y'all how I was wrong. Almost never. Yes, thank you, Wendy. And she's a member for 7 months. So she was here the last time I was wrong. So there you go. Perfect. That's perfect, Wendy. Thank you. So, yeah, I'll share with you. I'll share with you what I ended up. I was like, no, I actually ended up being right and thinking I was wrong. And then let me explain to you. If you're confused, let me explain to you the story. Okay, I'm going to explain to you the story. Fine. Yesterday, I actually thought about watching with y'all the Bibi Netanyahu speech that he gave to Congress, because supposedly every person I've heard who's heard the entire speech said, wow, what a phenomenal speech. And I was like, I'm really thinking about just watching this with you. I only heard like the last 5-10 minutes of it. I didn't hear the entire thing still yet today. And I was like, maybe I'll just watch it with everyone. Everyone's, people are saying it was such a phenomenal, amazing speech. That'd be a good way to spend an evening. It's like, let's hear a good speaker, express himself. Oh, that is good sound. I was making sure I didn't miss Anyway, so I'm not often very wrong, very, very often. And this story. So look at. Let's start at the beginning. So Bibi Netanyahu comes to Washington, gives a speech as the leader of obviously the most evil nation that ever existed. He's gonna draw some haters. So they came out screaming their Free Palestine stuff. And they're screaming and they're screaming and they're screaming. And I'm telling you right now, everything about Free Palestine is so much of a hoax. I can't even tell you. To me, it feels like climate change. But I never like talking about that topic. And the reason I don't like talking about it is because people get so about it. And I know that people are going to assume that the reason I've come to these conclusions are because I'm biased, because I'm Jewish or whatever. And I'm like, I need to make my show about that. So that's why I was like, I don't like talking about this topic. I know without any hesitation that it's so much of a climate change type hoax, this whole Free Palestine idiocy. So now they come out though, and it's bothersome because this is a hoax which is affecting. But okay, I don't want to. That's not where I wanted to go. But I did see how how rabid and frothing some of the people were in D.C. And I was like, you know what? This is an interesting topic, the concept of flag burning, because even though I didn't like what I was seeing there, like you, if I see someone burning an American flag, my first reaction is I want to walk over and punch the guy in the face. Like that's what I want to do. I'm like, F you, get the hell out of my country, you jackass. No one asked you to be here. Pop and just and put out the fire. That's what I want to do whenever I see a flag on fire. It's like, who the hell are you? Then I think about I think back to my teen years, and I was like, I remember learning that flag burning is completely legal free speech. So much as I hate it, much as I get nauseated by it, much as I find it to be utterly gross and disgusting, it is considered a form of speech. And if it's a form of speech that, and it's illegal, let's try to look at the upside here of it being used as speech and say to myself, okay, you know what? I think that this is something that the Supreme Court has said is completely legal. And maybe we can look at it this way. Someone sent me a super chat yesterday where I was trying to explain that the upside of looking at it as free speech is that when you see somebody going to that level, that they're actually setting Old Glory on fire, it's almost like I gave an analogy that it's almost like they are identifying themselves as a pink frog of everything about me is wrong and effed up. So everything I'm standing with, just stay away from this because I'm a jackass. So I was like, you know what? Maybe this is Old Glory, taking it on the chin, and it's helping to help identify these yokos, these schmobagels, these jackasses as being jackasses in a way that you cannot unsee. So I was like, okay, you know what? Maybe it is okay for, I was bought. It still bugs the hell out of me. It's so powerful. It's such a powerful thing to see someone do it. And that's why they're doing it. They're doing it because they know it's a powerful statement. So that was where I started. And then I realized I'm wrong. How do I know I'm wrong? Well, I had all these people in my chat who are all hitting me really hard saying, first they started saying, factually, the facts in this circumstance are very different because they stole the flag, and a stolen flag, you're never allowed to burn a stolen flag. That's true. You're not allowed to steal a flag, you're not allowed to burn a stolen flag. It has to be your own flag. I wasn't addressing that element to it. That's definitely true. You can't burn someone else's flag. 100% agree with that. And I didn't like the fact that it's the public's flag and they're taking down that flag. And I talked about how, in my opinion, that should be insurrection. But everyone was just all like thinking that I was just basically saying, oh, these guys are cool. Let them speak. I was like, no, my point is that act of burning a flag, as repulsive as it is, and it should be, always should remain that way. We should never allow ourselves to become numb and say, I'm not repulsed by this action. Never, ever allow yourself to become numb to that action. Every time you see it, you need to remain repulsed by it. And that's not an easy thing to do, because if you see it happen over and over again, you start becoming numb to it, which that's awful. But what I'm saying is, if we can manage to maintain that sensitivity and say, I don't want to see anyone ever burning an American flag, and if I do, I'm going to want to go over there and punch the guy in the face. And we can maintain that. Then when we see someone doing it, we can basically identify them as basically a steaming pile of feces and recognize that whatever they're associated with is definitely effed up in the head. And then you can and whatever issue is that they're standing up for, there's no person who's ever been burning an American flag who I could say I agree with them on any issue they were standing up for. Irrespective, I mean, it just doesn't happen. Well, anyhow. So then people start pointing me to 18 USC 700. And I pulled up 18 USC 700, and I pointed out that the Supreme Court decision where SCOTUS decided that you're allowed to burn a flag was a case called Texas versus Johnson. And I pulled up for you a quick analysis of Texas versus Johnson as on the U.S. Court's website. And they explained that case as saying the Supreme Court focused on the fact that there was this, that the Texan statute was flawed, in that the Texan statute specifically prohibited flag burning if it's being done in certain contexts, but not prohibiting it when it's done in other contexts. And that's where the Supreme Court had a real issue, because it seems like, oh, sometimes when you're burning a flag, it's okay. Sometimes it's not okay. And I took this situation and I tried explaining to people. The distinction here. And I walked everyone through it today. And people really seem to like this one a lot more than I like the initial post. And this is what I said. This is what I shared with them. This was my first correction. Newsflash, I'm just going to tell you, this story doesn't end here, because I end up being wrong again here. As much as this is much more popular post, here's the first post. The first post, not very popular. 279 likes, 160 comments. That's kind of being ratioed. All right? This was the video here. I think that dude's an American too. Stupid college jackass waving around a Palestine flag. They took down an American flag and hoisted up a Palestinian flag. Actually, I think that bothers me more.
Allahu Akbar! Allahu Akbar! Allahu Akbar! Allahu Akbar!
Now, I don't have a problem with the phrase Allahu Akbar. That actually means God is great. I kind of agree with them on that part of it. But so my initial post was saying that they're gross, but it's free speech. And I got all sorts of hate on that. And then when I saw 18 USC 700, what I learned was this, that yes, in Texas versus Johnson, well, let me just share with you what I wrote. You'll see what I wrote. What I explained was, here's a follow-up post to amend my position. I had strong recollections of SCOTUS expressly permitting flag burning. That case was Texas versus Johnson, 491 U.S. 397, 1989. In 1984, Johnson burned the flag, and that violated a Texas statute. It was a huge story because nobody did that sort of thing back then. It's true. I remember it, like, not vividly, but I remember, like, I was like, oh, yeah, I remember, like, the nation being outraged at the idea. This is the 1980s. In the 1980s, everyone was rah-rah America. I mean, this is the age of Rocky IV. This is the age of that Team America World Police would be making fun of forever. I mean, everything then was about America, F yeah. So it's like for someone to actually be burning an American flag, that was pretty outrageous. In 89, SCOTUS issued Texas versus Johnson, which shocked the nation and identified flag burning as free speech. The public's reaction to the Johnson decision remained lodged in my memory. And back then, I was genuinely really angry at SCOTUS. I was like, how the hell do you try to find some way to justify burning an American flag? I thought it was gross and disgusting. However, I was years from law school and unaware that the court's reasoning, and this is the key thing here, the reasoning for siding with Johnson was attacking the statute for allowing a flag burning in memorial or other venerating purposes while prescribing the flag burning for agitation. What does that mean? Well, the Texan statute was basically saying if you're having some sort of, if you want to try, you know what, let's go forward here. If you're going to be using the flag burning, let's say to memorialize a historic event, that's okay under the Texan statute, but not to criticize America. And when you start parsing it that way, and you say, I can use a flag, I can burn a flag. Let's say I want to remember someday that God forbid, some incident happens where there's 100 Americans who end up getting burnt. So you want to burn an American flag on the anniversary of that, you would be allowed to do that because you're not trying to agitate people. You're trying to remember Americans who lost their lives in a terrible fire. So that would be a way that it would be completely permitted under the Texan statute, as opposed to burning a flag in order to say down with America, that would not be okay. And that sounds like Texas was trying to limit certain types of speech with flag burning. Some flag burning is okay, some flag burning is not okay. So that's why you can understand where the court is coming from when it comes to its conclusion that the Texan statute was unconstitutionally violating free speech. Okay. But then in 1989, likely in reaction to the shocking incident, Congress passed 18 U.S.C. 700, making flag burning a federal crime. Separate statute. Now it's a federal statute. And they passed this 18 U.S.C. 700. What did they do differently from Texas? Well, in contrast, the federal law draws no distinction between speech the government likes or dislikes. It just says you can't disrespect the flag. That's what, in any context, even if it's for a good reason. 18 makes it a crime to mutilate the face, physically defile, burn, maintain on the floor, ground, and trample on the flag with no exception for speech we like. And that's why I said, accordingly, if ever challenged in court, I expect 18 U.S.C. 700 to withstand scrutiny. Well, what does this mean? You can't burn a flag. It's a crime to burn a flag. It's not free speech. It's not legal. I said, based on that, it is gross. I always thought it was gross. Let the jackasses find a new way to bray and hit them with the federal statute. You know, I was trying to find like some sort of silver lining, and I was like, you know, let's let these jackasses bray by burning the flag. And I was like, let them find a new way to bray besides burning the flag. And if they burn it, hit them with the federal statute. And I go through, and I was basically like, go get them on their theft, their vandalism, and for taking down the flag as insurrectionists. And then I said, thank you to those of you who threw 18 U.S.C. 700 to my face and gave me an opportunity to explore the distinction from Texas v. Johnson. And more. I was really pleased. I was a happy camper. Everything was fine. I was like, I was wrong. I corrected myself. Boom. End of story. You're not allowed to burn a flag. That's where I came to. That's where I came to. I was wrong. But I can own it. I was wrong. Okay. I got nice kudos here from Law Self-Defense. Other people saying nice things to me. Everything was going well. I was having a good day. I was having a really, really good day. I was like, people like it when you're able to admit when you're wrong. And I was able to like move on, feeling like I corrected the law for the nation and people are happy with me. Then no. Sometimes I waited on what? This? Oh, no. All of a sudden, Mr. Patrick hits me with Joe, United States versus Eichmann. And I'm like, no. Why am I saying that? Because I wrote that after I read United States versus Eichmann. United States versus Eichmann. This is United States versus Eichmann, 496 U.S. 310. The act does. These bastards, Supreme Court, 1990 case. What does that do? What does that case do? Oh, you know what that case does? It says 18 U.S.C. 700 unconstitutional. That's what it does. 18 U.S.C. 700 banning any type of flag burning for any reasons, not constitutional. No. So, what do you mean not constitutional? It means Supreme Court was saying, federal court, hey, federal legislators, no one can ban burning a flag. 18 U.S.C. 700 violates First Amendment rights, freedom of speech, because in the opinion of the Supreme Court, you're not allowed to burn a flag. You're not allowed to stop someone for burning a flag as a means of expressing themselves. What about that whole distinction that they made in Texas v. Johnson? What about that part of it? Oh, well, let's forget about that. It's essentially what the court says in U.S. v. Eichmann. After this court held in Texas v. Johnson that a Texas statute criminalizing desecration of the flag in a way that the actor knew would offend onlookers was unconstitutional. So they end up coming out with the Flag Protection Act of 1989. The act criminalizes the conduct of anyone knowingly mutilates, defaces, physically defiles, burns, maintains, and floor tramples upon a United States flag, such conduct related to disposal of whatever. Subsequently, appellees were prosecuted in district court for violating the act. Some for knowingly burning several flags while protesting various aspects of the government's policies. In each case, appellees moved to dismiss the charges on the ground that the act violates the First Amendment. Both district courts following Johnson held the act unconstitutional as applied in dismissing the charges. What do we hold? Appellees' prosecution for burning a flag in violation of the act is inconsistent with the First Amendment. Why? But they're not restricting all forms. They're restricting anyone from doing it in any way, shape, or form. So there's not like a distinction here that there's some speech they're allowing, some speech they're not. No. They're like, look, when you're restricting speech, we need to look to see whether you have a compelling need to do that. And they say that the government's asserted interest, this is what's their compelling need? What do they claim it is protecting the physical integrity of a privately owned flag in order to preserve the flag's status as a symbol of the nation and certain national ideas is related to suppression and concern with the content of free expression. The mere destruction or disfigurement of a symbol's physical manifestation does not diminish or otherwise affect the symbol itself. So they're basically saying, in order to justify silencing all forms of speech in one way or another, like flag burning, whether it's speech that is venerating the flag, honoring the flag, or whether it's speech that is denigrating the flag, spitting on it, it still is restricting speech, and you can only do that if there's a compelling need. You're saying your compelling need is, well, we need to maintain the dignity of the flag status, preserve the flag status. The court says, well, you're not really, the status of the flag is not going to be harmed if people are burning it. The destruction, disfigurement of a symbol's physical manifestation doesn't diminish the symbol. The government's interest is implicated only when the person's treatment of the flag communicates a message to others that is inconsistent with the identified ideals. The precise language of the Act's prohibitions confirms that your interest is the communication of the flag of destruction, since each of the specified terms with the possibility of burns unmistakably connotes disrespectful treatment. Don't disrespect, don't step on snack. Suggest focus of those acts likely to damage the flag's symbolic value. And since the explicit exemption for disposal or warrant of soil flags protects certain acts traditionally associated with the patriotic respect of the flag. So it's got the same fundamental flaw. This to me is crap. It's really crap. It's really terrible. But here's the point. Here's the point. 18 U.S.C. 700. It's not good law. It's unconstitutional statutes. So what are we back to here? We're back to where I started in the beginning, at the beginning of this whole thing, that alas, the Supreme Court seems to feel that we need to allow this type of free speech. It is free speech. Now, you're not allowed to use someone else's flag and go after them for taking down the public's flag. You can go after them for taking down a flag and hoisting up another flag, and go after them for the vandalism and the graffiti and all, and destroying the public's flag. You can go after them for all of that stuff. But just coming down here now so that you are aware, person is legally allowed to burn a flag that they own. You're allowed to burn it. Do I think that the law should be that way? Personally, not really. I think like if they're making it illegal to burn the flag in any context, I think that you're saying that the compelling need, it's not as much of a it's not enough of a compelling need. Maintain dignity of the flag, because here's the thing about flag. Here's the thing about a flag that I think people might lose sight of as to why is a flag so important? What is the relevance of a flag? A flag is a statement when it's identified with certain ideals of this is the direction we are going. It's a statement of where we are and where we are going, of what tomorrow holds. When you hoist a flag on a conquered piece of land, it's not just a statement that this second the flag is there, that it's a representation of right now we have it. It's a direction. It's a statement of direction of where the society and culture in this realm is headed. That's what flags have always meant. And that statement identifies who we are as people. It is so innately embedded into who we are as people that it's like if a country wants to say we're not cool with anyone ever burning a flag, and you're fine to express yourself any way you want. Just I don't want to see a flag on fire. I don't think that that's really inhibiting your speech. I don't think it's inhibiting anyone else's speech. That's my personal take on it. It's not the law. The Supreme Court disagrees with me, but that is my personal take on it. And as it happens, this morning when I posted out about how it's not legal to burn a flag, I was wrong yet again. So I was wrong when I said you're allowed to burn a flag. Then I was wrong when I said you're not allowed to burn a flag. My current position now is technically you're allowed to burn a flag. But if you do, you're a jackass. People should want to punch you in the face. Anyone that did walk up to you and punch you in the face, I personally would not testify against them. And it's technically legal. As long as it's your own flag, not someone else's flag. I still think if they take down a public flag and hoist another flag, get them on insurrection. Get them on 10 years. 10 years. 10 years. Because what they're actually saying is that this is the direction that we are going henceforward. And especially if they're doing it as part of a mob, they're basically saying this mob now has control and is controlling the direction here going forward. And that's why it's insurrection. That's why it's an active insurrection. All right. Let me get through some of them chats. Some of them chats here. Joe, this is why you are not our leader. Love you. Thank you, Mama Rocks. Thank you so much. It's okay, Joe. We accept your faults. I hope so, because there's going to be a lot of them. Bella Stella, queen of recruitment, hitting me with 10 good Lawgic memberships. Who do we get? I actually made sure to try and catch it. So she brought into the following: Sarah, Pat Mack, Kathy Shanette, Yosemite Sam. That is not how you spell Yosemite. That is not how you spell it, Sam. That is not at all. Isn't it's supposed to be spelled Yosemite, isn't it? Yosemite. Well, whatever. Okay, Yosemite Sam. Paul Fairfield. What, me worry? Marksman Hitman. BJ Skulls. Mark Pugner. Barb Belmont. Lauren Cremens. All in gifted membership to the following, courtesy of Queen of Recruitment, Bella Stella. God bless you, Bella Stella. Thank you so much. I do want to point out to you, those of you who were gifted courtesy of Bella Stella, to please issue gratitude to her and recognition for bringing you into the greatest following in the history of followings, arguably. Not that it's a cult, type of cult. Not that I'm the leader of the following. And because everyone, our catchphrase is, Joe is not the leader of the following. I'm just the host. I'm the host of the show. I'm the host of the following. I'm very, very, very much. And you see, I'm a very flawed person. I'm very, very flawed. This is why it's a great thing that Joe is not the leader of the following. But thank you so much, Bella. You're awesome. Elizabeth Chatwood, as much as it disgusts me, they have the right to say what they want. The second they start destroying property, all bets are off. It shouldn't say all bets are off. Say all belts are off. We should be taking our belts off and just pa. Fold the belt in half. You will still run into private property rights if you burn your own flag. I don't know how you would. Or maybe if you're in a condo and you're not allowed to set large fires in an open area. Not sure how that's going to happen. They can if they remove flag burning for disposal. I don't think so. I don't think they can. Because they're going to say it's not a compelling interest. Bella Stella with another 10 members to the following. Welcome aboard. Who did you bring in here? Who did you bring in? Check this out. Let me see if I got this one. Catch this one? I think so. I think I'm going to find it if I scroll up. If I scroll long enough. Here we go. Who did you bring in? Andrew Landholm. Welcome to the following. Chris Kroll, Maddie Adams, Jimmy Ray, Jamie Chadburn, D. What? Spurgy, Jason Puck, Barnes Homestead, and Julius Vissi. Welcome to the following. Let me explain something to you. The following is not at all a cult type of cult. There's no self-harm, no harming others, no stabbing yourself with a jab, no Kool-Aid, no spaceships, no tracksuits that are mandatory, mild farming, no dancing around bonfires while shucking off clothing to the beat of tom-toms. No throwing virgins into volcanoes, no goats' heads on steak, no squirrel mutilations, no sacrifices. It's not at all a cult type of cult. It's really just about personal growth. And we attain that through community unity and leadership training. So, welcome to the following. You new folks, please express your gratitude to the lovely and talented queen of recruitment, Bella Stella. God bless you. Elegant news. You can almost make it a crime. You can also make it a crime to burn other people's flags on top of the theft and destruction crimes, just like hate speech crimes. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know what the hell hate speech is. I don't know what the hell hate speech is. You DM me a funny? Let me see what you DM me. Voice another play. Get my interaction. I don't know. Let's see what we got. This is what she DM'd me. What'd she DM me?
Strike three!
I used to believe everything I'd see on the news, but that's before I discovered a brain.
A brain is meant for everyday use. Those living with moderate to severe stupidity have seen immediate improvement in common sense with a brain.
I thought the government had my best interests at heart, and then a friend told me about a brain.
Talk to your doctor about what news sources you obey. A brain may also lower your desire to take life-altering advice from celebrities.
Getting lectured about my carbon footprint from people with 3 private jets used to make sense. But thanks to a brain, now I can think for myself every day.
Nice.
When my disregard for 3rd grade biology began to flare up, I knew it was time for a brain.
Do not try a brain if you're allergic to a brain. Common side effects may include accountability, discernment, homeschooling your kids, a better understanding of economics, awareness of the stupidity of socialism, and diarrhea.
For tethering yourself to reality, the only no-brainer is choosing a brain. Ask your doctor if a brain is right for you.
For
Nice.
more information, visit tryabrain.com.
Love it. That's really good. That was really good. Good job. That was funny. I like it. I'm on board. Well done. Thank you, Lauren. Are we up enough members to get a Hummer you run 24/7? I'm not. Okay. No. I got very close. To getting a Hummer. I got very close. The running it 24/7 was at a different landmark. I think at my peak, where am I at on my? Let me see where I'm at here. Hold on a second. Let me see where I'm at. We're really not close. Those yardsticks were very high. What did I have here? Monetization. Let's see how to memberships. I think the Hummer was coming, from my recollection, at 2,500 subs, and I'm at 880. I had all these cancellations. Damn it! I'm at 850. I'm at 850 right now. Wow. They go up and down. So, yeah, that's my numbers right there. That's my membership numbers. Anyhow, the newest member is Jason Puck. When was that happen? When did that happen? I didn't see Jason Puck in here. Did I call out his name? Jimmy Ray? I don't remember calling out Jason Puck's name. I don't know. So there you go. There you go. Anyway, end of the story is I was wrong. We all know it. Now we can move on. But in the end, but if you think about it, when I started with my initial position that you're allowed to burn a flag, I was actually right. But I'm not going to be explaining all this on YouTube, on Twitter again. So Twitter folks gotta learn to come over here and check out if they want the full story. I'm giving them the closest to the full story I can. Viola Pride. It is proper disposal to burn a flag. That's correct. How to properly dispose of a worn out flag, you can lay it to rest in a pyre. A pyre fire. But you're correct. And perhaps if they got rid of that, I don't know, maybe that would make it some way that they could make it illegal to ever burn a flag. I don't know. Anyway, where was I? Oh, yes. Let's talk about Kamala Harris because she's in the news these days. In case you haven't heard, she's in the news these days. And I was the other day I was explaining how it is that the GOP should be attacking her. And I was like, her record is so abysmal. Her failings are so glaring. She is such a joke as a potential leader. It's almost like, do you want to have, some accomplished, serious, let's say, colonel who's going to like come in and take care of a company, or like some game show hostess who's like, hi, I'm here to make sure everything's good. Like, you don't have to point out that she's a DEI hire for her failings to be staring her in the face and for people themselves to come to that conclusion. But attaching that label to her comes across as petty. And if anything, it just opens up a whole Pandora's box of bad things that people will think about Trump and the GOP. Instead, just focus on the fact that she was the border czar, did terrible work there, and was just an utter disaster. So I was very pleased to see Mike Johnson, who has been a disappointment himself, direct the GOP to follow what Good Lawgic was suggesting. GOP House leaders focus on Harris' record, not her race. House Republican leaders told lawmakers in a meeting Tuesday to stop bringing up Vice President Kamala Harris' race and gender and to focus on her record. Representative Tim Burchett created a firestorm when he attacked Harris as a DEI candidate after President Biden dropped out and Harris announced her candidacy, quickly becoming the presumptive Democratic nominee. Harris is of Black and South Asian descent. She's not of Black descent. The incompetency level is at an all-time high in Washington, Burkett wrote on social media. The media propped up this president, lied to the American people for 3 years, and then dumped him for our DEI vice president. Burchett said he regretted the comment, even though he said it was the truth. Glenn Grothman, from Wisconsin, said Democrats were sticking with Harris because of her ethnic background. And that's all true. It's all true. But Republicans are hoping to criticize Harris for her record on the border and for skipping Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's address to Congress. This should not be about personalities. It should be about policy, and we have a record to compare, said Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House. This has nothing to do with race. It has to do with her competence of the person running for president, relative strength of the two candidates, and what ideas they have on how to solve America's problems. And I think in that comparison, we'll win in a landslide. And if you think about it, if she was not some minority woman, he would be every bit as incompetent. If Kamala Harris was a white dude, still would be a cringy, uncomfortable, terrible candidate. So when you refer to them as being a DEI hire, you're basically opening up a doorway for people to say the reason you're critiquing her is because you're misogynist or because you're racist or whatever stupid thing that they have, even though obviously the only reason they got there was because of their gender and race. It's kind of a weird situation. But an unnamed House Republican told Politico the DEI attacks had to stop. DEI initiatives aim to promote inclusion of women, minorities, and other marginalized groups, whatever, blah, blah, blah. We have everything going our way, and you just can't handle that. The lawmaker said, we'll give you a cheat sheet if you don't know what else to talk about. Well, and true to form, House started talking about other things. That's what they have been doing. So I'm going to share with you a few different ways that people have been attacking her, because I think it's important. It's good for us to start analyzing and assessing how the attacks are coming and how the Democrats are looking to defend Kamala Harris. So let's look at a few of the attacks here. Now we start getting a flavor for how things are going to be going for the next several months. We do just need 2,500 to get down. That's true. In Trump's voice, many people say it's a cult. It's a cult, but it's not at all a cult. That's what Joe says. But if it were a cult, it'd be the best cult. It would be the best cult, a huge cult, great cult of all cults. Hell, I can't. So bad. What's so funny is this: when I'm not on the air, I actually can do slightly pretty terrible Trump. When I am on the air, I don't know why I can't even. It's not even like. It's like, wait, are you trying to do Trump? Is that what you're trying to do? What? Not at all. It's like my voice is in a different octave and pitch when I'm on air than when I'm having a normal conversation. And it's much harder for me to shift out. Stop it. Her prosecutor record is her Achilles heel. Well, one of them. It's one of them. Let's hear from Kevin Kiley, because I happen to like Kevin. I like Kevin a lot. He's a congressman from California. He looks like he's 14 years old. The dude is a great speaker.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise today with an update on the condition of San Francisco, a city whose fate has been largely shaped by several politicians of prominence here in Washington, D.C. Foremost among them, Vice President Kamala Harris and Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi. I think it's important for all Americans to understand the tragedy of San Francisco, what has happened to one of America's most beautiful cities, because the same radical failed policies that have caused San Francisco's decline and collapse are gaining increasing traction in Washington, D.C. So I want to go over just a few of the reasons why it is that, as the San Francisco Chronicle put it last year, this city is...
This is so perfect. This is so perfect. Look at the contrast. Trump wants to make America great again. Kamala wants to make America San Francisco.
Quote, on the verge of collapse. Indeed, in many ways, my entire state of California offers a preview of where our country has been headed. But San Francisco offers an even starker warning. It is the part of our state where failed policies, radical politics, and public corruption are in their most advanced stage, and where residents are most rapidly fleeing. In an article headlined, "San Francisco Falls into the Abyss," UCLA economics professor Lee Ohanian writes, quote, "No major American city has failed at the same level as Detroit, whose population dropped from 1.85 million people in 1950 to about 630,000 today. Move over Detroit," he writes. "Here comes San Francisco, which lost 6.3% of its population between 2019 and 2021, a rate of decline larger than any 2-year period in Detroit's history and unprecedented among any major U.S. city. The city is declining faster than any major U.S. city in the history of our country. And the reasons are not a mystery. Foremost among them are
This guy is so lethal. He is so lethal. Every time I hear him, I like him more. Every time I hear him, I like him more.
crime, drug addiction, homelessness, waste, unaffordability, failing schools, all a result of failed governance. So let's just start with the crime situation in San Francisco, which is a city that has had a progression of self-described progressive prosecutors, starting with now Vice President Harris, who has used that term to describe herself, progressive prosecutor, followed by others in her mold, George Gascon, and then Chesa Boudin, who was ultimately recalled from office by voters. Now, on a state level, California law has essentially legalized many forms of crime, making theft of merchandise below $950 a misdemeanor, as well as the possession of even Class A drugs. In practice, this means offenders are rarely, if ever, prosecuted, and in many cases, businesses have stopped even reporting losses. San Francisco's anti-law enforcement policies have compounded these problems. For example, a few years ago, in 2020, San Francisco defunded the police, shifting $120 million away from law enforcement.
Who would think that defunding the police would lead to an increase in crime? I don't know why people would think that such a thing would result.
If you park your car while in the city, the advice is just to leave the doors open and make sure there are no valuables inside. That will at least spare you the cost of replacing your windshield. Last year, the Castro Merchants Association, representing 125 business owners, wrote a scathing letter regarding the city's failure to address the lawlessness around them. One said, "We're just seeing constant vandalism, constant drug use in public, people passed out on the sidewalk, people having psychotic breakdowns, and it's just not something a small business owner should have to deal with." On top of these general problems relating to crime, retail theft, car thefts, is the issue of drug use. Walking through San Francisco, you will see open drug use and drug dealing, with an open-air drug market scene that is so rampant that even last year, Governor Gavin Newsom sent in the National Guard ostensibly to get it under control. While California has among the highest rates of illegal drug use in the country, San Francisco is well above the national average, with 22% of the population in the San Francisco, Oakland, Fremont area using an illegal drug in the last year. Tragically, the number of overdose deaths
more than 1 in 5 San Francisco's. And they're not talking marijuana.
Skyrocketed from 2020 from 222 to now 647 in a given year. Things only got worse during the COVID shutdowns as far more people in the city died from overdoses than from COVID. Facing among the most punishing lockdowns in the country, emergency room mental health visits increased substantially, especially for young people. It certainly doesn't help matters that the supply of drugs is so abundant thanks to the crisis at our border, largely overseen by this administration's border czar, Vice President Kamala Harris. And it should be noted that San Francisco declared itself a sanctuary city long before California became a sanctuary state. On that note, the current vice president also played a starring role when she was district attorney, abiding by the city's sanctuary policies. And then when she was the state's attorney general, she actually paved the way for California to become a sanctuary state by opposing a federal law meant to stop sanctuary jurisdictions.
Just understand, when you think about this, what he's explaining here, how she helped pave the way for California to become a sanctuary state, and then she's handed the role of being the border czar.
A third issue that one will confront immediately in San Francisco is homelessness, and this is very much connected to the crisis of crime, drug use, and mental health, the explosion of homelessness in San Francisco. Once again, while California leads the nation in homelessness, San Francisco is worst of all. Between 2005 and 2020, the number of homeless increased from 404 to 8,124. During that same period, homelessness declined significantly nationwide. Within a 3-year span, complaints of homeless encampments to the city's 311 line increased from 2 to 62 each and every day. Meanwhile, the share of the homeless population that is unsheltered has also gone up in recent years. Fourthly is the waste situation. Between 2014 and 2018 in San Francisco, calls about human feces doubled to 20,933. $100 million was...
Oh my God. Oh my, it's just like you can't walk anywhere with that. This is what's coming. That's coming to a town near you.
spent on street cleaning in 2019 alone. In a 3-year span, the city replaced 300 lampposts corroded by urine. The overall condition of many areas is something that no American should ever have to experience, especially kids walking to school. Speaking of kids, San Francisco Unified has the second widest achievement gap of any school district in California with over 5,000 students. A Cal Matters investigation from 2017 found that San Francisco had the worst Black student achievement rate of any county in California. Just 19% of Black students in San Francisco passed the state's reading test, compared with 31% statewide. This was before COVID. While California was last in the nation in getting students back to school, San Francisco was worst of all, keeping schools closed not only in 2020, but through the end of the 2020-2021 school year. While they refused to actually operate schools, the district instead spent time on a commission to rename them, even proposing taking Abraham Lincoln's name off of an elementary school. The district then came up with a scheme to scam the state by pretending to open for the last 2 weeks of the school year in order to get millions of dollars in extra funding. Predictably, test scores have since plummeted even further. The citizens of San Francisco, by the way, responded by recalling 3 of the school board members from office, each by over 70% of the vote. A fifth issue is bureaucracy. It costs an estimated $100,000 to build one tiny home for the homeless, 10 times more than even other places in the Bay Area. Almost $1.2 million is the cost to build a single unit of affordable housing. This is the city where it takes 87 permits, 1,000 days of meetings, and 500,000 in fees to build residential housing projects. San Francisco politicians boast that they brought home the bacon when they brought home a $1.7 million taxpayer-funded toilet. As the San Francisco Chronicle puts it, San Francisco's bureaucracy isn't just incompetent and comically inefficient, it is a corroding force in our life. They say spiritually, yes, but also literally. They call it corruption born of needlessly complicated bureaucracy. The public transportation system is a model of mismanagement, with the Bay Area Rapid Transit facing a $1.1 billion deficit over 5 years, with trains that are dangerous to ride and that rarely show up on time. No wonder ridership has plummeted, and they're projecting a $728 million deficit. This is for the city of the whole over a span of 2 fiscal years. Finally, there's the cost of living. A survey from the Economist Intelligence Unit found that San Francisco is one of the 10 most expensive cities to live in the world. Average rent for a 1-bedroom apartment is over $3,500.
Oh my God. Oh my God. 30. Oh my God. Oh my God. 30. That's average rent is 30 for a single bedroom.
Data from the California Association of Realtors, a San Franciscan needs to make nearly $400,000 to buy a median income home. The cost of utilities, groceries, and other goods is also well above the national average. The city has simply become unaffordable for far too many people. Now, this is the political situation. This is the reality on the ground in San Francisco. And it is directly linked to the political culture of radicalism that has developed in that city over the course of the last, say, decade and a half. And what's truly alarming is that many of the people who have had positions of leadership, like Gavin Newsom and Kamala Harris and Nancy Pelosi, have assumed greater power.
This is Kevin Kiley. He's a member of the House. He's a Republican member of the House from California.
For our state and over our country. Indeed, California has seen its own population decline significantly. In fact,
not from San Francisco. That's Nancy Pelosi's jurisdiction.
We led the nation in outbound U-Haul rentals over the course of 4 years, as you saw many of those problems I just discussed for San Francisco start to become problems for the entire state and are indeed now starting to become problems for the entire country. Now, I personally believe it's not too late to turn that particular city around. And for proof, you can look at the communities of my district. While California as a whole is declining, and 53 out of 58 of its counties are declining, the vast majority of my district is growing. Placer County and Folsom, for instance, are growing as much as anywhere in the state. Our communities are rated among the best in California to live, raise a family, and retire. While California, as I said, leads the nation in U-Haul departures, Roseville is the second place city in the entire country in U-Haul arrivals. Many of the people leaving San Francisco, in fact, come to my district for safer communities, a more affordable cost of living, better schools, and an overall quality of life. We still face headwinds of misguided policies enacted at the state level, but we strive to use the tools of local governance and community partnerships to do what is best for our citizens. This is the model that our state should strive for, and it's the model that many other states are following. And it's the model for our country to reverse the policies that have gotten us so off track in 3 years. If we are going to get ourselves back on the right trajectory as a country, then we should indeed look to San Francisco as a model. But it is a model of precisely what not to do.
Dang. 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 Well, here's Pramila Jayapala standing up in defense of Kamala Harris as they're haggling over whether or not they should impeach her, which I don't think they should. But it does give us a nice little test space as to what the members of the House are saying about Kamala from both sides of the aisle.
Speaker, I yield 4 minutes to the gentlewoman from Washington.
Gentlelady is recognized for.
Speaker, I yield 4 minutes to the gentlewoman from Washington.
Gentlelady is recognized for 4 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise in strong opposition to this resolution. Here we go again. The Republican majority made their appropriations bills so extreme that they can't pass the vast majority of them with votes from their own party. So instead, we're going to come here to the floor and waste our time.
He's not a felon. He's not a felon. He'll never be a felon. I keep saying this on X over and over again. He ain't a felon. You're only a felon once you're convicted by the judge. He's not a felon. Let me just use this opportunity to explain to you. He is not a felon. You never have ever in your life heard a jury say, we hereby convict the defendant. They say we find them guilty. They issue verdicts. A verdict of guilt can be used by a judge as a basis to convict them. You're not a convicted felon until that conviction is issued by the judge. Judge Merchan has pushed it back till at least September 18th. So he's not a felon. And then he wrote in there, if still necessary, I will conduct this. I'll issue sentencing on September 18th, meaning he doesn't think that this verdict is going to stand up. It is now being challenged in the appellate courts in New York, in addition to the state of Missouri trying to attack the verdict in the Supreme Court. So yeah, he's not a felon, and it doesn't. And if you follow this channel, which I know you did, Drop in Barracuda, but if you follow this channel going back to when that trial was ongoing, you'll know that I was pointing out all of the legal flaws, in addition to the gag order, which I am personally fighting against, and still fighting against in Court of Appeals. But in addition to that, there was countless flaws with respect to the jury instructions, not to mention various rulings they made during the course of the case that stand in the way of of New York ever obtaining a conviction against Donald Trump. So I'm predicting right now he will never be a convicted felon, ever. need to figure out how to make that a 30-second message. Yeah, it's 12 minutes. It's a little long, but he was being thorough.
As they politicize the work that we are doing here in Congress and use this time to attack the vice president. They can't pursue their impeachment claims, their fake impeachment claims of Joe Biden or any other number of people that they've targeted because Joe Biden is no longer running for president. So now they've got to quickly shift and instead use their time on this floor where we are supposed to be doing official business to attack Vice President Harris days after she is clearly going to be our Democratic nominee for president. Kamala Harris was never the border czar. She was never asked to address the situation at the border. She was asked to do something that MAGA extremists who want quick fixes that they can give to Fox News never want to focus on, and that is a real solution. She was narrowly tasked with developing agreements that could help bring government and private sector investments to those countries that
No. What are you
are
talking?
sending migrants to the United States so that those countries could help strengthen the conditions in those countries.
And she failed, utterly failed, and never bothered going to the border.
And she did so,
Oh,
most significantly
most significantly.
in Mexico, Guatemala, El Salvador,
Yeah,
Honduras.
they're still
She brought
allowing to march on
billions
through.
from private sector investments to support government funding for entrepreneurs, to ensure labor rights, to strengthen food security, and launch
Oh, she won. She won at the border. Oh, this is the messaging we're going to be getting. Oh, she did a bang-up job as border czar.
projects across those countries that invested in financial inclusion, healthcare, climate finance, and affordable housing. Those are the things that will keep migrants in their home countries. And the only reason
Yeah,
that Republicans
worked
are doing
really well.
this today is to distract the American people from the fact that they still can't get anything done here on the House floor that will actually benefit the American people. It's no wonder the leader of their party has been convicted on 34 felony counts
Nope, never convicted.
and has a Trump Project 2025 agenda
Nope, not his agenda.
that will take total control over people's lives.
Nope, far less so than your climate change suggestions.
That agenda includes plans for mass deportations, including spouses
Yeah, deportations, precisely. Yeah, of people who are not supposed to be here.
and children of U.S. citizens, dreamers, essential workers, and farm workers. Let's not forget that roughly 22 million people in America live in mixed status families where at least one person is undocumented. So when Donald Trump and Republicans
Oh, so anyone who basically is related to them should just be able to come on over here. Hey, tell any relatives you have that live outside the country, totally fine for you to come on in here because I'm living here.
are talking about mass deportations, they're talking about tearing apart American families. It doesn't end there.
Tearing apart.
Trump's Project 2025 calls for the end of protections for dreamers. And
It's not his 2025. But yeah, we're tired of having all these illegal aliens being carted in here. Maybe you shouldn't have brought so many in here. Maybe you should have closed the border for the last 4 years. I don't know.
family-based immigration.
Oh, Jesus, shut up.
Attacking family unity comes as no surprise from
So what she's basically saying is we made the problem so egregious that now it's impossible to undo it without making people feel sad.
the party that cruelly tore over 5,000 kids from their moms and dads.
So don't
Trump's
worry.
project-
Don't worry. There's 10 times that many have come across the border this week.
2025 also eliminates due process in the immigration system. It would deny people their day in court to make their case under protection under U.S. laws. Republicans have made it clear over and over again that they do not want to modernize our immigration system. Even the bill that was written by the second most conservative Republican senator in the U.S. Senate, Trump told them not to vote for it, so they didn't.
It was not at all. Who's the second? What are you talking about? Who's the second most? Who are you labeling the second most conservative? What are you talking about? That was the most terrible bill in the world. That was a bill which I broke down at the time it was coming through Congress as being an utter disaster, which would have made it illegal for a president to ever shut the border. That's what that bill said. You're not allowed to shut the border. That during times of emergency, you must, at all times, allow 1,400 people a day to cross the border. Have to. You're not allowed to. It'd be unconstitutional. And if you want to fight that, you have to go to the D.C. Circuit Court to fight it. That's the place I have jurisdiction. The D.C. Circuit. Why? I don't know. Well, we're writing this in D.C. That was what they had orchestrated there with that disastrous bill. That's 42,000 people a month must come in that you're not allowed to stop fewer than 1,400 border crossers.
Because they wanted to keep it out there as an election issue.
Oh, shut up.
Republicans want to distract you from
You wanted to keep the border open forever. Impossible to close. That's what you wanted. That's what that bill was.
the fact that the Biden-Harris administration has been the most effective administration in my lifetime.
My God. She needs a brain.
Investing in infrastructure and green jobs, taking on climate change, bringing down the cost of prescription drugs, and canceling student loan debt so people have more money in their pockets instead of allowing billionaires to profit off your pain. And just today we heard that the economy grew by 2.8% in the second quarter, showing the extraordinary strength and achievements.
Gentlelady, additional 30 seconds.
Gentlelady is recognized for an additional 30 seconds.
Just today, we heard that the economy grew by 2.8% in the second quarter, showing extraordinary strength because of the policies that President Biden and Vice President Harris have put into place for this country. Don't be distracted. Democrats want to protect your freedoms, uphold democracy, and give every American a real chance to succeed.
They just can't afford it, even if they do. Good luck. Well, there you go. There you go. Pramila Jayapal, the fourth member of the quartet of loonies. She's the good one. She's the good one. Anyway, today what we had, I did want to check this out also with you while I was here. You said thank you for the clarification. If he ever was, though, I think he should reclaim the word as his wrestling would be felonious Trump. That would be great. Felonious Trump. That would be really good. I want to share with you one last thing here, and that is today there was a press conference. Not press conference. We had KJP at work today. KJP was doing her work today, and the struggle was real. The struggle was real for KJP, and we always love watching KJP trying her damnedest, trying her hardest. So let's check out KJP today, being asked about why are you so sensitive about the border? Why are you so sensitive? What's the deal?
Thank you, Kareem. Democrats on Capitol Hill are being hindered.
Oops. Oh, I forgot about this. This is great. This is great. They're being exposed. That you're all being brought onto the same page here. This is Peter Doocy exposing Democrats in ways that only Peter Doocy can.
Thank you, Kareem. Democrats on Capitol Hill are being handed this card with talking points about the vice president and the border. Do you know who's handing this out?
I have.
Talking points. Peter, this Democrats are being handed this card about this is what you should say about Kamala Harris with the border. This is what they're being handed out. Are you familiar with who's handing this out?
No idea. You probably should ask her campaign.
So the first one says Vice President Harris was never appointed border czar. There's never been such a position. It doesn't exist. Why are Democrats so sensitive about the vice president and the border?
why are Republicans so sensitive about actually not owning up to them getting in the
You're not answering the question. You're going to start yelling about Republicans.
way of a border deal?
Your border deal was a disaster. Disaster. It was not a border deal. It was an F America. That was basically no border ever. Border deal.
Why? Why won't they own up to that? Why won't they own up to the last president told them not to move forward? It was a bipartisan deal on just right there, available to them, and they voted twice against it.
Yeah.
Twice against it. Why
And should vote against it 100 times if they have to.
are they so sensitive to moving forward and actually
That's not sensitive. That's just disastrous policy that they're saying no to.
dealing on an issue that majority of Americans care about? Is dealing with
Yeah, we care about it. We just don't want your answer. Your answer sucks.
what's going on at the border.
Do you think that the border would be less of a talking point now if there was less migration to the border? Say, if somebody had addressed root causes of migration
Well,
sooner.
wait, hold on a second. Did you not hear the beginning of I know there were a lot of toppers, but one of the toppers, I talked about what we're seeing at the border. It's down by 55%, not because of Republicans in Congress and what they did. It's because what this president and this vice president did.
Why didn't you do that 2 years ago? You're only doing it now because it's an election year. Why? Whatever you did to get it down 55% now, why is it down 55% now instead of down 55%? Oh, I don't know. In 2022. Oh, it's an election year. We have to start closing the border.
He moved forward and took actions to deal with what's going on at the border.
Why did he wait till the end of his administration to do that?
Republicans continue to block getting resources to the Border Patrol agents.
Oh, God.
They continue to block actually dealing with an immigration system. So yes, we are going to debunk the false characterization of the vice president. She was not a border czar, and it's not just us. Independent fact checkers have said the same thing.
Fact checkers. Oh, fact checkers. Let's get the fact checkers in here.
That did not exist, and that is not true.
And a different.
Well, there you go. All right.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
I don't care about this part of this. I'm going to come back. Independent fact checkers. Let's get the independent fact checkers in here. Yeah, and it is 55% of their imaginary lows. Still infinitely higher than anything Trump ever had. 55%. I want to see something here. U.S. Customs and Border Protection recorded 247,000 encounters nationwide in April. 247. Under Trump, it was like 50,000 a month. 247, including 179,000 Southwest border. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. This is what they're proud of. This is what they're proud of. We're down 55%. I don't know what month they're talking about, because the border encounters increased 5% compared to April of fiscal year 2021. Let's see if I can see numbers. Encounters by month. 2021, 22, 23, 24. It stayed over 150,000 for the last 3 years. Let's go back to 2020. 2018. All right, that's fine. Reset filters. I want to try and get during, okay, fiscal year 2017, 2019. Let's break it down this way. It's in 2000, 2001. Monthly totals in 2019. Look at this. 51,000, 52,000, total of 859,000 for the year in 2019. 859,000. Compare that to the 150,000 a month, to the millions upon millions that they have every single year. Unbelievable. He's sitting here. We're so improved. We're so good now. We're so good now. God, what a disaster. Utter disaster. But that wasn't the only problems that she was having today. That wasn't the only problems KJP was having today. It was Peter Doocy. She had more problems. She did not have a good day. She was not having a good day today.
Thanks, great. The economy.
Sorry, I listened to everything Noel speak.
First, if I could.
Sure.
There's a new CNN poll out that says 39% of adults worry most of the time or all of the time that their income will not be enough to meet expenses. Prices are up 19% since President Biden and Kamala Harris, the vice president, came into office. How long do Americans have to wait till this worry goes away?
So look, too many families are still struggling to make ends meet. That is something that the president understands.
It's working. Bidenomics. It's working. It's working.
And that is why he works every single day to make sure that we address these issues for hardworking Americans. I talked about the historic accomplishments that this president has done. You think about the Inflation Reduction Act, which only Democrats voted for.
Because it sucks.
Insulin is now capped at $35 a month for seniors. The president wants to...
For seniors. It was $65 a month for everyone. Everybody under Trump. But they had to rip up that EO.
See that go more broadly. This goes into the question that I was asked, what else does he want to do? Continue to lower costs, right? You think about...
I can promise you this. The day Trump takes office, pharmaceutical costs will be slashed through an EO. Within 1 week, within that month, you will notice a change in your pharmaceutical bills. That month. Because he came up with the answer and they ripped it apart. He came up with the answer and they ripped it apart. The day, that month, your pharmaceutical bills will become slashed.
You think about what he's been able to do to get housing assistance for Americans who are having a hard time with rent, with getting a house. And so he has taken actions to deal with that issues that Americans have. We get it. Over the next 6 months, that's what we want to continue to focus on as well.
We're going to try and focus on doing things the way Trump would do it.
And we know that Americans, again, are having a difficult time. But our stance and how we see this country is very clear. Republicans want to give a tax break to corporations, a big tax.
They've been saying the same stupid thing for the last 20 years, that they want to give tax breaks to corporations. Like, I don't know what the hell they're talking about. I don't know what that they keep saying that. What are you talking about?
Give away to corporations and billionaires. They want to actually go after Social Security and Medicare. That's not what we believe.
Oh, yeah. Okay. What's your evidence of that?
That's not what we want to do. We want to protect those important programs that Americans need.
So if I could, the other topic. Last night, the president kept with the theme of saving democracy, alluding to the fact that maybe former President Trump is a threat to democracy. The vice president using this.
This is the key thing here that he hits him on, that he hits her on. That Biden is the one who's raising the temperature and making America a more dangerous place.
Same language. Is this a dangerous rhetoric?
Look, it is important that we continue to talk about unity. It is. Saving democracy.
Do nothing about unity, but talk about it. Saving democracy. That's exactly what he just said. When you talk about saving democracy and calling him a threat to democracy, you are basically putting a bullseye on Donald Trump. By you saying he's a danger to democracy.
Making sure that we're unified as a country.
You have made us as ununified as imaginable, as divided as possible. That's and then when there's division, you play on that to say there's division, they're coming after you. You better vote for us.
And he called on the country to come together.
Oh,
that is something that is a theme that he's talked about since 2019.
Never.
Since 2019.
Never.
Nothing new here.
Never.
And I'll quote.
Really? What about when he said domestic terrorism is the biggest threat to this country? When he said ultra MAGA is the biggest threat to this country faces today? What about that? Was that unifying?
Keep calling out hate and extremism. Make it clear there is no place in America for political violence. That's something that the president said last night, or any violence ever, period. I'm going to keep speaking out to protect our kids and gun violence. This is something that the president truly believes in. But bringing the country together is a big part of that. Is actually the theme. Unity is the theme that you heard from his remarks last night. Go ahead, Jenny.
He still talks about a threat to democracy. I mean, there are now 3 public attempts that were, or threats to the former president that we know of. Yeah. Iran being one of them, the shooter the other night. So how many threats are enough to lower the temperature?
The president has called on lowering the temperature.
Yeah, no, he hasn't. But he keeps, the point that he's saying is he calls on it while at the same time calling Trump a threat to democracy. So that's not doing anything.
But here's the thing.
In other words, he's full of hot feces.
It takes on all of us to lower the temperature.
Oh, God.
All of us. I hope you can read between the lines of what I mean by all of us. It takes all of us to take that action and to lower the temperature.
No one knows what you're talking about.
And I think when you have a president that uses the Oval Address to talk about unity, not just once, he did it right after, sadly, the former president, the attempted assassination.
Now you're saying he did it twice ever. Before you were saying it's been his theme. What are you talking about? You can't. She doesn't even know what she's saying anymore at this point.
The former president talked about lowering the temperature then, and also talked about really denouncing, condemning political violence and how it has no place in this nation. He talked about you.
He's a threat to democracy. Don't kill him. Don't kill him. Don't.
Use the Oval Office to do just that.
I wish he did. Political violence is terrible. It's terrible. But he's doing nothing to lower the temperature. Zero. Quite the contrary. Joe Biden keeps raising the temperature and raising it more. That's all he does. Like a fire chief being offended after being discovered as an arsonist. Essentially, yeah. Yeah, that's what they are. They create the problems and they're like, oh, we're going to try and fix them. Trump should call sanctuary cities bluff. Tell them they can have the sanctuary. We'll send all illegals to them. I'm totally on board with this. I said this years ago. I mean, Eric, you and I are of one mind here. They lose all federal funding, law enforcement deal with it. Stand on principle, fall in line. Yep, send them all there. You're a sanctuary city. Go have them. Go have them. Nationwide Martha's Vineyard. Exactly. Yeah. Send them all there. Have fun in San Francisco. You'll love it. You'll love it. Watch your step. Watch where you step, because no, it's not dog poop. Not dog poop. And finally, here we go. More promises More promises for you coming from Karine Jean-Pierre. I can tell you now what she's going to say in the statement is a lie, an outright lie. Let's have her lie to us.
It's clear.
Let's listen to Karine Jean-Pierre that she's lying to us, because this you're about to hear is a lie.
I do. I think the American people do.
For several weeks, the White House has said, said multiple times that the president was not going to leave the race. He ultimately did. You've also said several times that the president would not.
So he said he's not leaving the race, but he did. He also said he's not going
pardon or commute the sentences for his son, Hunter.
Pardon.
I just want to make sure that.
So he said he's not going to leave the race, but then he did. He said he's not going to commit. He's not going to pardon or commute the sentence of Hunter. Is that another promise he's going to break?
For weeks, the White House has said, had said multiple times that the president was not going to leave the race. He ultimately did. You've also said several times that the president would not pardon or commute the sentences for his son, Hunter. I just want to make sure that that is not going to change over the next 6 months. The president's saying he would not.
It's still a no. It's still a no.
It will always be a no.
It's still a no. It will be a no. It is a no.
That's a lie. That's an outright lie. She can't even look at it. Just got to keep her.
And I don't have anything else to add. Will he pardon his son? No.
Thank you.
As I said last night, the ultimate, because right now Joe is mad. Let's hear her finish it.
Train. So picking up on Zeke.
Yeah, sure.
For such a monumental decision, the president did address why he left the race.
Well, thank you.
But he left a lot of it for us to read between the lines. He did not make clear why he's leaving the race, even in the excerpts that you bring up.
Yep.
He says that the best way forward is to pass the torch to a new generation. Is he saying it's because he was too old? In another one, he said that it was for the sake of democracy. Well, that does not answer why he thought he was in the way of democracy.
Because he is in the way of democracy. He is.
I mean, so why did he make this decision?
A new generation. And he also said the next sentence was to unite. It's also to unite the nation.
It's not unite the nation. It's to unite the party. He said he's stepping out because people in the party want him to step out and he wants to unite the party. But I did a great job. But they think I can't win. Why do they think you can't win? You did such a great job. If you'd done such a great job, everyone would love you. Why can't you win? Why would your own party think you can't win? It's because your own party knows you're full of crap, and they know that Americans know that you're full of crap. They know that you suck. Everything you've implemented since you came into office on January 20th, 2025 has been 2021 has been an utter disaster. And that's why folks hate you. And you can sit here trying to gaslight, but people at the end of the day have to go pay their monthly bills and can't because of you. People are dealing with illegal boarding crossers and dying in the streets and countless housing issues. I mean, it's just one issue after another, not to mention throwing billions of dollars to God knows where, some big fat pit in the middle of Kiev, which is where they're dumping money that we're sending them. I don't know. Because apparently somewhere like 50% of it, 70% of it, they have no idea where the hell those billions of dollars went. That's your money that's sitting there in Kiev. And for some reason or another, Americans are not too pleased with the work he's done. It's historic. It's historic. You want to know why? Because Bidenomics, it's working. It's working. If I whisper, it seems like I'm very sincere. I'm telling you a secret. That's only for you and me. It's working. It is. So there you go. Tie Kamala Harris to everything Biden ever did. Let's see how that plan works for you, because it was such a historic success. It's a historic success. It's going to be a winning campaign right there. It's going to be a win.
All right, we've got some.
Oh, she's got this problem too. I forgot about this problem. Here's another problem. one last thing. I was going to wrap up, but there was one last thing I wanted to share with you all here. Hopefully this story is going to be what the headline is talking about, because I hate when they sometimes you get like a headline and then there's a video and the video has got nothing to do with what the headline says.
Major breaking news. According to multiple reports, President Biden has dropped out of the 2020.
That's not what I wanted. See, that's what they did to me. 92, YouGov poll says 92% of Americans think Harris was complicit in Biden's health cover-up. 92% of Americans believe Vice President Kamala Harris knew about Joe Biden's apparent failing health, a recent survey shows. Oh, okay. Okay. Of 1,170 registered voters was conducted. A London poll, a YouGov Times of London poll of 1,170 registered voters was conducted on July 22nd, July 23rd, after Biden's announcement of a re-election campaign. It had a margin of error plus or minus 3%. When asked to what extent, if at all, was Harris involved in covering up Biden's health, 68% responded a great deal, 17% said somewhat, 7% a little, 4% said not at all, and 4% were not sure. 78% of Republicans, 73% of independents, and 82% of self-identified conservatives polled said they believed the extent of her involvement in covering up to be a great deal. 22% of Democrats, 31% of self-identified liberals, and 57% of self-identified moderates agreed. So yeah. But now she wants to be your president. They're sitting here helping covering up his health issues for the last God knows how long. Good luck, Kamala. Good luck, honey. You got this. You got this. Bebop and rock steady. Joe, you've been around a while. Is this election the closest we've been to over that you can over that you can remember? That's a good question. I mean, look, I want to point this out to you. She's still not officially the nominee. Something could happen with that. There's always the possibility of an October surprise or something like that. You know, something happening where all of a sudden some terrible way that they can try and, harm Trump's possibility of elections. So it's only July. It's very easy to feel giddy about how November is going to go, but we need to be cautious about doing that. We need to be cautious and not just assume that this thing is done. So I understand why it's easy when we see how high he's riding now and how pathetic the Democratic candidate is looking. But it's only July. And our memories are very short. Very, very short. So I'm not gonna say that it's over. It's definitely not. And I mean that sincerely. It's definitely not over. Yeah, if this was right now, if we were talking that today was the eve of election, I would have a whole different take. But it's not. It's July 25th. So we need to sort of bear that in mind. It's 3.5 months still to go. It's a long time. So, but I'll tell you, as of where we're at right now, let's assume that we were in the same place 3.5 months from now as where we are now, would I feel like, that this is the most obvious landslide we've seen in a long time? I'll tell you this much. Obama versus McCain, that felt hopeless. He was riding so high. That felt hopeless. McCain was just very That felt very, very hopeless. And yeah, Reagan's dominance in the mid-'80s. Walter Mondale was a dead man walking from the day he announced his candidacy. So, yeah, that'd be my take. We need a Bay Area Deep Party where we shout "No migration without documentation" and dump the D's in the ocean. Okay. All right. I guess. Oh, someone asked me to play something here. What was this? It was Eric Sean asked me to play this. Why not? I'll just pull this up. I don't even know what we're about to look at here. Hopefully, I'm not going to regret this. 20 seconds within the next 50 seconds. Hopefully, I'm not going to regret this. I'm very, very cautious about bringing up stuff I haven't vetted yet, what it might do to my channel. But let's see what we got.
you want to really see something that said, take a look at what happened.
Fight, Daddy. My love, you must fight.
Fight. I love you, Dad. I'm proud of you, son.
Fight.
Fight, Dad, fight.
Get up, Donald. Fight.
You've got work to do, son. Fight.
Fight. I love you, Daddy.
Get up, Dad. Fight.
Fight. You must fight, my love.
Fight.
I love you, son.
Fight.
I love you, Donald. Fight. Fight.
Fight. Fight. Fight.
Nice. Well done. All right. Hopefully I don't get hit on the Rocky thing. All right. I thank you all for joining me. I am going to wrap it up over here. Wrap it all up over here. And tomorrow I'm probably going to end up being on Layback Law. Good chance I'll be there. I don't know. But you need to check out Locals, goodlogic.locals.com. I know I owe you a bunch of videos, and I plan on making good on that now. Now that I have my mic here. My mic is here. Yeah, that's right. I got the mic. I got the mic working now. Yeah, now that I got this thing working, I'm feeling a lot better. A lot better. So I'm going to be hooking you up on Locals and taking care of some local streams pretty soon. Tomorrow, maybe. I don't know. That's a goodlogic.locals.com. Goodlogic.locals.com. I thank you all for joining me. I'm landing my plane here. And you know when I'm landing my plane, the two things I always warn you about are, well, obviously don't eat the bugs, because, oh my God, why would anyone do that? But the other thing is, why would anyone eat lab meat? It makes no sense. Oh, that's where you were going with that. Oh, okay. I see what you okay. Now I get it. All right, now I get it. We're cool. All right. Oh, wait, let me make sure I didn't miss anything here. Let me make sure. Yeah, don't eat bugs. No bugs. No lab meat. I will here's something funny. Yesterday, just closing out one last thought for you. I was on Nick Ricada last night, and all some people were just super chatting him, ranting him about tracksuits and stuff like that, and he had no idea. Anything. That like tracksuits and Kool-Aid and spaceships, and he's like, I don't know what they're talking about. And I was just like, I don't know what that's about. I never told him. I was just like, no, I don't know what they're talking about. I don't know. Well, why would I? It's your audience. I don't know what they're talking about. I love that you guys follow me around. It's very cool of you. Very cool. Anyway, so if you can follow me around, goodlogic.locals.com. And tomorrow, probably Layback Law. Till then, take care of yourselves. Have a great night. And as always, Godspeed.